The sound of drums filled the whole village that morning. It was the day every maiden in Amorkwu had been waiting for, the day they would sing and dance before Prince Obinna, the handsome son of the king. Everywhere looked bright and green. The trees around the palace moved softly with the wind. Women tied their red wrappers, and the maidens oiled their skin until it shined like the morning sun. But in one small compound, far from the palace, a young girl sat quietly by a broken pot. Her name was Adiz. She was an orphan. Her parents had died when she was little, and she now lived with her wicked auntie, Mema Urena. Mema Urena treated her like a slave. She gave her old clothes to wear and leftover food to eat. While her own daughters played and laughed, Adiz fetched water, washed plates, and cleaned the compound. That morning, when all the maidens were going to the palace to sing for the prince, Adiz begged, "Auntie, please, can I go too? Just to watch them sing." Mema Urena turned sharply. "You! Go and sing for the prince. Look at yourself." She laughed harshly. "You are not even fit to stand near my daughters. Stay here and wash those calabashes before I come back." She walked away with her daughters, her big beads shaking on her neck. Adiz sat on the floor, tears falling from her eyes. She could hear the drums from the palace far away, calling every girl but not her. So she sang quietly to herself. Her voice was soft and sad, like a bird crying in the forest. She didn't know her voice was traveling with the wind. At the palace, the prince sat on his high chair made of carved wood. Beautiful maidens danced before him, smiling and singing loudly. But something felt empty to him. Then he paused. He heard another voice, faint, far away, but full of pain and beauty. It was not from the maidens before him. He turned his head and listened again. "Who is singing that?" he asked. No one knew. The drummers stopped. The maidens looked confused. But that voice stayed in his heart like magic. That night, the moon was bright. Adiz was washing plates outside when a strange wind blew. The trees around her began to shake. It felt like the night itself was listening to her song. She sang softly again, tears in her eyes. Mema Urena came out with anger. "Are you mad? Stop that noise before I use this broom on you." She beat Adiz until the girl fell by the fire. But Adiz didn't stop crying. She only held her chest and whispered, "One day, I will be free." At the palace, Prince Obinna could not sleep. He kept hearing a soft voice inside his head. It was not the loud songs of the maidens. It was a small voice. Sad, clear, like water in a clay pot. He told his guard, "Find who sings that." The guard bowed and left with a lantern. He walked through the green paths and listened. The voice seemed to hide behind trees and smoke. Back at the compound, Mema Urena paced. She was angry, but also afraid. Whispers spread in the village. Some said the gods were working. Some said a spirit chose a bride. Even Mema Urena looked at Adiz and felt a cold shiver. The next morning, the sun was bright and the field was full again. Maidens warmed their feet. Men tuned their drums. The prince rode in on a strong horse. His red cap and coral beads flashed like fire. People bowed and cheered. Prince Obinna looked serious. He watched each maiden dance. He watched the drum leaders. He watched the flute player. But his eyes kept drifting, searching the crowd with something hungry in them. Then a whisper went through the crowd. "Did you hear the song last night?" "Yes," another voice said. "A tiny song. It came from the poor hut." That night, the moon was bright. Adiz could not sleep. She kept thinking of the prince and what happened at the festival. She touched her chest and whispered, "Could it be me? A poor girl like me?" The next morning, the whole village was noisy again. Women gathered by the road. Men were talking. "The prince sent for Adiz," someone shouted. Even Mema Urena heard it from her hut. Her face changed. "Over my dead body," she said. She told her two daughters to dress up quickly. They tied red wrappers and rubbed palm oil on their faces to shine. They planned to go to the palace before Adiz and lie to the guards. But Adiz's friend, Neka, overheard them. She ran fast to tell Adiz. "Mema Urena wants to trick the prince. You must go now." Adise held her wrapper tight and ran barefoot through the forest path. Her heart was beating fast. The wind blew her hair back. By the time she reached the palace gate, she was tired and dusty. At that same time, Mema Urena's daughters were already in front of the prince. They smiled and bowed. "My prince," one said, "we are the maidens who danced yesterday." Prince Obinna frowned. "Where is the girl who sang by the fire?" he asked. The sisters froze. "She is our servant," one lied. Before they could talk more, the guards came in with Adise. She stood quietly, her eyes full of tears and dust on her feet. The prince smiled immediately. "That's her," he said. "That is the voice I heard." Mema Urena gasped. Her daughters bent their heads in shame. The crowd outside the palace started whispering. Prince Obinna looked at Adise and said softly, "From today, you will never be a servant again. You will be my wife." The crowd cheered. Drums started again. Flutes played. Adise couldn't believe it. She covered her face and cried tears of joy. But justice came quickly. The prince ordered that Mema Urena and her daughters be sent away from the palace for lying. He told the villagers, "Pride and wickedness can hide beauty, but truth will always shine." A month later, the whole kingdom celebrated the wedding of Prince Obinna and Adise. She wore coral beads that sparkled like fire. The same drums that once beat for other maidens now beat for her. The prince held her hand as they danced together. Everyone in the village said, "Truly, destiny cannot be stolen." And from that day, whenever young girls gathered to dance, they remembered Adise's story. That a pure heart will always win. And true love never hides behind pride. Moral lessons. Be kind, even when the world treats you unfairly. Lies may shine for a while, but truth always wins. Real beauty comes from the heart, not from pride. Destiny cannot be stolen, what is yours will always find you.